Warning! The following Sarcastic anime trailer will contain major spoilers, and will be insulting the series way more than it deserves to be insulted. With plenty action fantasy anime to choose from this season, including the undeniably best and unanimously loved My Hero Academia sequel. Why the flying ass cheeks does this half-hour fanboy rant exist? And how much did he get paid to make it? Recreators. Following the recently popular trend of Recon, ReZero, Re-Hamatora, Rewrite, Relife, and Reborn. Okay, Reborn's not a thing. Recreators got itself a cool title by throwing in an inconsequential re in there, cause creators sounds lame. And finally proving to the world that it's possible to have a pretty good original non-manga based anime, aside from 91 Days. We thought we knew our anime cliches, like another recent trend, protagonists getting trapped in another world, only to get smothered by waifus. But then Recreators turned that on its head, because who's got the patience to wander around in a wonderland, amassing the bitches, when the bitches can amass you and smother the protagonist, getting trapped in his world. We're getting lazier. Soon our nowadays hentai will become average shonens. Soon. Speaking of hentai, why couldn't Altair summon fantasy sex slave hentai characters in the protagonist's bedroom in episode 1? Now that would captivate the audience. Follow the characters summoned to our world, where the Recreators creators didn't even use 2 cells of brain power to come up with original characters from original media, because he put himself in this situation that he just needs to pick the most common anime tropes and bring them to life. From magical girls to Bishi mech pilots to literally a motherfucking JoJo's reference. And believe it or not, those were the characters with the most yet shallow depth, whereas the creator people were a cluster of dumb fucks constantly prompted in every action by the creations, and the protagonist is included. They make for one of the most dull and boring main casts of the season, and yes, Isekai Smartphone does better in that aspect, as the worst trapped in another world anime I could think of off the top of my head. Meet the protagonist, a character whose name most of you probably don't remember, because while the protagonist of a cliche anime usually falls into a cliche archetype like Shinji, a pussy who has to grow throughout the series, or Shiro the protagonist, who's good for the sake of being good and will put everything above himself, even to the verge of stupidity, or Kirito, a protagonist that makes believe he's so edgy that he becomes overpowered. And yeah, there's a harem of girls that want his sword, if you know what I mean. But for no fathomable reason, we have this guy that doesn't even reach the status of an archetype. You get to follow history's most bland protagonist, where he ends up in a coincidental position where otherworldly chicks are popping into his house and dragging him into a war where he doesn't actually accomplish anything for 98% of the series. Well, that's not completely true, because if hindrance would be considered an accomplishment, then this guy would be a beast, being that he was an indirect result to all the issues that befell humanity, and it's up to Meteora to fix them alone. However, we can all learn from our sidelined main character how to maintain composure, because Recreators creators couldn't even think of more than 2 individual emotions to give the bastard. Oh, I'm in another world. Oh, other world characters are in my world. Oh, we're in the middle of a war. Okay. Welcome to the battle of a lifetime, where everyone's dreams come true, and everyone's favorite characters from fiction are randomly brought into our world for no logical explanation to duke it out in real-time death battle, where since the creators are on one side, they can make up ass-pull powers and abilities for the side they're rooting for, but they don't make it too OP because that would kill the suspense of the fight, which is actually the same logic they had as to why they weren't tampering with enemy powers, making them weaker, and decided not to write down other ass-pull powers that the fans would like Alasteria's gained immense strength and can obliterate any opponent in one shot, but this ability can only target those whose hearts are full of darkness, which the fans would love, but Altair would hate, and they didn't think of things like that. That brings us to Altair, the harbinger of mayhem, who for no logical explanation, despite how hard the anime tries to convince us there is one, is bringing these creations into our world to destroy it. But obviously, her selection is random, because if not for that, she'd have only selected the characters that would surely join her, and she wouldn't select characters to oppose her or hail from hentai. Which begs an obvious question. A question so good it gets to the point of plot hole in 2 words. Power scale. Not only do you get to enjoy a series with epic fight scenes between people with completely different powers pulled from completely different universes, but luckily, you wouldn't have to endure a fight between Armin versus Lord Frieza.
Fight!
Or Ash Ketchum without any Pokemon versus Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
Fight!
Or Yamcha versus anyone in the Dragon Ball universe!
Fight!
Oh yeah, whoops, that actually happened. Yamcha. But luckily, there are perfectly equal scale battles, despite coming from random works of fiction. Aside from that, Altair also introduces the greatest twist of the series. In the beginning, she was using a sword violin to telekinetically control floating blades, but later, she can do it without the random-ass sword violin. Crazy twist, right? And even with all that awesomeness, there's one more thing that the anime has that most do not. Backing from Mother's Basement. From his initial video claiming that Recreators was a new classic masterpiece, after only about 3 episodes, to his constant semi-stubborn flaunting on Twitter that he was right, bringing proofs that he was right from epic writing, showing his conviction in his position. That's obviously not that much of conviction because he changed his thumbnail from this to this. You get the full Jethu Senpai experience, and it isn't even Sword Art Online, which makes the fine line as far as lines that try to be really deep, even though no one talks like that. Like these, make someone go into full fanboy brilliance mode, or cringe. However, by the mere fact that Jeff likes it, it's gotta have some deep shit. You know it has that. It just doesn't compel you to stick with the series for 22 episodes, cause on a basic visual level, it's pretty dull. And apparently, the moral to the wonderfully deep Recreators anime is authors and story writers shouldn't kill off their characters or give them traumatic backstories. I guess. Sure is some deep shit that's applicable to our everyday lives. Starring Dumb Inaho, Oblivious Madoka, Less Cool Nagato.
I am Anoyo Montoyo. You killed my family. Prepare to die.
The obligatory motherfucking JoJo's reference. Ibizawa Orihara was in Yandere Simulator. Boring darkness. Less Tsundere Asuka. She exists and is evil because a psychotic artist was suicidal. The protagonist who was sorta there the whole time. And the most important part of the anime, the anime Pope. Reverse SAO. Get it? Cause they're trapped in the real world, and the MC's a total loser as opposed to badass, and Mother's Basement's, okay, you get it. It wasn't that clever. Reverse SAO, a modern classic. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's been a while since I've done Sarcastic trailers, and honestly, I'm thinking about coming back to them because I forgot how fun it was to write this. Also, once I'm on the Mother's Basement Recreators topic, I don't want to give the impression that I disagree with him because he has solid reasonings as to why he really loves the series. We actually spent a while talking about it, and that was the reason I decided to finish this script because I stopped about halfway. I was like, no one's gonna watch a Recreators Sarcastic trailer anyway. So, thanks to this video goes to him. And to Mother's Basement, who said he was looking forward to this video, with probably no sarcasm in his words. Liking an anime that is not mainstream and that doesn't have a huge fan base, in my eyes, is honestly impressive. And to stick to your guns is a great thing. I just personally am not the hugest fan, because to my tastes, despite how deep a show is, if it doesn't keep me interested on a basic visual level, it's just not gonna be my thing. Also, if you could please let me know your opinion on Recreators, because the difference in opinions we had is a logical difference in opinions, and both sides make sense to me at least. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.